The Book of Boba Fett was very good Star Wars at times, but was not a very good Boba Fett story. This is Exasperated Nerd Explains. There is a lot to like about Book of Boba Fett, some fun action, some great moments, both for Boba Fett and for the larger Disney Plus Star Wars universe. However, it also feels all over the place and not really like a cohesive show. It literally becomes Mandalorian Season 2.5 for 2 episodes right near the end of the season. I feel like there were some pretty simple things they could have tweaked to improve the series, and in discussing, I can explain why these things did not work very well. The villains. It has been said a story is only as good as its villains, and Book of Boba Fett's villains fell short. One reason is that they didn't really establish a villain to build up over time, or an organization that he could work his way through in establishing his own criminal empire. So who were the villains? Well, at first it was kind of the Tusken Raiders, but he befriended them. Then it was the mayor of Mos Espa, but he convinced Boba Fett he was innocent. Then it was the biker gang that Boba Fett was convinced killed the Tuskens, but we find out he got revenge on them. Black Chrysanthemum and the Hutt twins show up, but he beats up one and the twins just leave the planet. Boba Fett contentiously meets with the crime races and makes a truce. Then the Pikes arrive, then Cad Bane arrives. Boba Fett learns the Pikes killed the Tuskens, and Cad Bane just kind of gloats about it, even though he had nothing to do about it and just found out as well. The other crime families betray Boba Fett. Boba Fett kills Cad, and Fennec kills the head Pike, mayor, and the crime family heads that betrayed him. You should probably streamline that a little bit. Cad Bane meets Boba Fett in this show in the same episode that he kills him. That's not how you do it. It should have been the Pikes behind everything. Obviously, killing the Tusken family can stay the same, but he should have fought the crime families, which brought the Hutts who were really in charge of them into play, which then led to the Pike syndicates who were actually in charge of everything all along. At each step, he moves up the ladder of who he's facing, and it should seem more dire and hopeless each time. That it's not a local town crook, but a giant criminal empire he is up against. Don't just have some of your villains, like the Hutt twins, just leave. Cad Bane also should have been involved on Tatooine since the beginning of the series, either working for the crime family or secretly working for the Pikes the whole time and reporting things back to them. You could even have him be the one who killed the Tusken Raiders personally, or at least have him be the one who planted the bomb in the club, not some faceless, nameless Pike goons. Were they even killed? Who knows, maybe these are them dying here. Take a similar scene from The Untouchables. Person comes in, leaves a briefcase or ice cream maker behind, it explodes. But it's not a faceless minion, it's a known hitman for Capone, and spoilers, he is involved in the rest of the movie, and we get the satisfaction seeing him get his comeuppance. In the scene where Boba Fett and Cad Bane faced off outside the bombed out club, Boba Fett should have just shot him here, since it was 2 armored shooters and the best sniper around against Cad and a few random Pikes. That made no sense at all. Give a reason that Boba Fett can't act if you want that moment. Have that scene take place in the club before it's bombed. Boba Fett doesn't want to mess up his business or hurt the people working under him, which is why he can't open fire. Have Cad Bane reveal that he or the Pikes were behind the Tusken massacre like the original scene, and have Boba Fett almost lose it, which distracts him and lets Cad set off the bomb. Boba Fett is at his lowest point, feeling responsible for letting his feelings get the best of him and losing part of his criminal family that he was building. It also makes it more personal and raises the stakes between Boba Fett and Cad Bane specifically. This would have enhanced their final showdown. It also can lead Boba Fett to a realization that with family, responsibility takes priority over vengeance, which leads to my other main issue with the series. Murky motivations and looking foolish. The old criticism of Boba Fett fandom was always that he was nothing more than his armor, but even the original trilogy reveals more than that with his brief appearance. One of the main things is that he is smart and clever, realizing the Millennium Falcon was attached to the Star Destroyer while he was on it, and somehow convincing an Imperial officer to put himself and his ship amongst the trash. He was also able to get double paid for the bounty on Solo, and double backs to take some extra shots at Luke just when he thinks it's safe. He also shows guts and resolve, speaking up to Vader on several occasions, and even being told,
"No disintegration."
which means he must have done that before to a bounty for the Empire and he wasn't force-choked to death for it. However, Book of Boba Fett made him seem kind of foolish, gullible, and gave him murky motivations at best. He should have suspected the Pikes slaughtered the Tuskens, even if he did not act on it right away. You could even set that up as one of the original reasons he wants to take over Jabba's old criminal empire. He knows firsthand about the Pikes' spice runs on Tatooine and wants to be a thorn in their side. I know the theme and motivation is Boba Fett kind of trying to establish a family like he had with the Tuskens, but a criminal family is not like an actual family, usually when they aren't related, so making vengeance part of his initial motivation would give a through line to the whole story and give him a personal shortcoming to struggle with at the same time. You can have him start to feel like he's setting up a family here and use that to get beyond his quest for vengeance. Letting Fennec Shand get the final kill against the head Pike because it made the most sense in the situation would fit this, but as it is, it just feels like he did things because he wanted to. Going back to the point of him appearing foolish, he is constantly being tricked or making poor decisions. The mayor gets the better of him after the assassination attempt, being convinced it was all the Hutts who were coming on the scene even after they take out the assassin, or at the very least, he doesn't act on it or go back to it. He lets Black Chrysanthemum get into his personal quarters after being told, "We're sending him after you." He should have been ready with a trap all along. He's also convinced to wage the final battle from a bombed out building in the middle of a city to protect it. No, fighting at Jabba's palace is a much better strategic option. It takes the fight away from the civilians and gives you the high ground, which can let you see the Pikes approach from any direction without the cover offered by all the city streets and houses. It would also mean the three most Espa crime families would not be able to catch them off guard and betray them. Also, regardless of location, Slave 1 should have been factored into it. It can hover. It would be a floating gun platform with more firepower than all the weapons brought by the Freetownians combined. And probably could have taken out the Scorpionic droids as well, though Boba Fett riding Rancor was pretty sweet. Look, I'm not hating on Star Wars or the show, but I think some simple changes would have done a lot to improve things. And I am not saying it from a perspective that it has to be this way or it's bad, but I just feel like they lost sight of some pretty basic things somewhere. I've always been a huge Boba Fett fan. I want there to be not just good, but great Boba Fett stories told. And I think that this just fell victim to the ongoing march of Star Wars content. I think if they had given the creative team more time to work out some issues with this story and been able to delay it even, we could have got something amazing instead of something that's just, pretty good. But with how it ties into Mandalorian, being essential viewing for fans of that series, they couldn't delay it too long and had to proceed with what they had instead. However, what do you think? Do you think it lived up to your expectations? There were certainly good and memorable scenes, but do you think it could have been better? Are you disappointed with how Cad Bane turned out? Please let me know in the comments below. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content. Thanks for watching. Bye.